Your story is not over. Those were the first words that ripped out of Marcus Hale's throat as he leaned into the smoke and fire of a wrecked car. His hands were cut to pieces by jagged glass. His shirt scorched, but he wasn't letting the woman inside die. She was frozen eyes glazed a perfect slice of blood running down her temple, her tailored suit already catching ash. "You fight for whatever comes next," he shouted, voice hoarse. And somehow she blinked just enough for him to unbuckle her seatbelt. Together with one desperate pull, he yanked her free just before the entire vehicle exploded in a wave of orange flames that lit up the freeway. Marcus collapsed on the asphalt lungs, burning his daughter Lily, screaming from the sidewalk with her unicorn backpack still hanging off her little shoulders. He'd been on the way to drop her at school before heading to an interview that might have finally lifted them out of endless rent notices and ramen dinners. Now his arm was bleeding. His shirt ruined his chance at that job going up in smoke. He looked down at the woman he'd just saved. She whispered faintly, "You saved me." He shook his head. Anyone would have. But they both knew it wasn't true. Every other driver had just stood there filming. Before he could even ask her name, the paramedics swept her away, and Marcus walked back to Lily, feeling the weight of another lost chance pressing down hard. 2 nights later, in a tiny kitchen with peeling linoleum, Marcus stitched up his own arm with a dollar store kit, while Lily drew pictures of him as a caped hero. She slid the drawing across the table and said matter-of-factly, "This is for your new office." He didn't have the heart to tell her the interview was gone, the company had already filled the position, and heroes didn't pay rent. He just taped her crayon masterpiece to the fridge right next to the final notice from the electric company. Meanwhile, in a penthouse high above the city, the woman he saved, her name was Victoria Lane, was replaying the shaky phone video of the rescue for the 10th time. His voice still echoed in her head. "You fight for whatever comes next." Victoria had built her empire on cold logic, never feelings, and yet she couldn't shake this janitor-looking man who dragged her out of fire. She ordered her assistant to track him down. When the search finally pinged, she froze. Marcus Hale wasn't a firefighter or a doctor. He was a night shift custodian in one of her warehouses. So imagine Marcus's shock that Saturday morning crouched on his porch, fixing Lily's bike chain, when the thundering sound of a helicopter shook his entire block. Neighbors ran outside, shielding their eyes, as a sleek black aircraft marked with the Lane Corp logo descended right onto the park down the street. Out stepped Victoria herself, dressed sharp bandage on her temple, cutting through the crowd like a queen. She marched straight up to Marcus and held out a thick envelope. "This belongs to you," she said. "You saved my life. Take it. Enough so you and your daughter will never worry again." The whole neighborhood was staring, breath held. Marcus looked at the envelope, then back at her. "I can't accept that," he said quietly. She blinked, confused. "Why?" He shook his head. "I didn't do it for money. I did it because it was the right thing to do. I'm glad you're alive. That's enough." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Victoria Lane, who'd bought and bullied her way through every deal of her life, stood there for the first time speechless. She left, but she couldn't stop thinking about him. Days later, at a crucial investor demo inside her warehouse, her engineers paraded their $1 million sorting machine, the Apex unit. It was flawless until a sharp-eyed client pointed at an odd little brace on the main joint. Everyone squinted. A scrap plate and coiled wire held the machine together, not factory work. Not her software team's miracle. She demanded security footage, and there he was. Marcus Hale in his gray custodian uniform, calmly bracing the failing joint with a piece of scrap, then walking away without a word. In front of investors, in front of her own board, Victoria realized the man who refused her money wasn't just a hero, he had saved her company. She fired the smug VP who tried to claim credit, then whispered to her assistant, "Find Marcus. Now." This time she didn't bring a helicopter. She drove herself, showed up at the park where Lily was playing. She approached him with no envelope, no arrogance. "Mr. Hale, I came to apologize," she said, voice softer than he'd ever imagined. She explained everything. The warehouse, the sabotage, how his scrap fix saved the Apex. Then she did something no one expected. She offered him a real position, not as a janitor, but on her research team. Marcus laughed bitterly. "Ma'am, I never even finished college. I'm not qualified." That's when Lily shoved a spiral notebook into Victoria's hands. Inside were pages of Marcus's sketches, wind-powered generators from old bikes, self-watering planters, complex gear systems. Victoria's eyes widened. This wasn't janitor work. This was invention. She handed the notebook back like it was sacred and said simply, "The lab is on the 40th floor. Orientation Monday at 9 a.m. Don't be late. Monday morning." Marcus walked through the front doors of Lane Corp for the first time in his life, not pushing a mop bucket, but carrying a satchel. He rode the elevator up to the 40th floor, nerves chewing him alive. Engineers looked up, recognizing him from the rescue video, whispering, "That's the janitor." He felt like an imposter until Victoria introduced him. "Everyone, this is Marcus Hale, our newest innovation specialist. He sees what others miss." That day, while a group of engineers argued over why a delivery drone kept overheating, Marcus ignored the data and looked at the machine itself. He traced the wiring, touched the motor, then said softly, "The problem isn't the processor, it's the heat from this harness feeding straight into the sensor. Move the wires, and the problem's gone." Silence. Then one by one heads nodded. He was right. Just like that, respect replaced skepticism. Weeks turned into months. Marcus became the quiet problem solver everyone leaned on. Engineers brought him their toughest designs, waiting for his simple, practical genius to cut through. Victoria watched him with growing admiration. He wasn't just fixing machines, he was fixing something in her too. She invited Marcus and Lily to the company's family day at the Botanical Gardens. Marcus almost refused, sure they'd stand out. But Victoria smiled and said, "You're on my executive team now." And I heard Lily's an expert at plants. That weekend, among polo shirts and catered food, Lily darted around like she owned the place. When a condescending executive's wife sneered, "You're just the janitor from that video, right?" Amazing. What a little press can do. Marcus froze. Before he could answer, Victoria stepped forward, her voice sharp as glass. "You're mistaken. The Sparrow drone that's funding your husband's department only works because of Marcus. It's amazing what competence can do, isn't it?" The woman flushed red and stumbled away. Marcus looked at Victoria, stunned. She just said I had to. In that moment, the walls between CEO and janitor crumbled. For the first time, Marcus felt like he belonged. But peace doesn't last forever. A rival appeared, Damien Cross, Victoria's late husband's ex-partner, a man who built his empire stealing ideas. One night, Marcus came home to find his apartment door ajar, his newest notebook gone, and in its place a single black feather Damien's signature calling card. When Marcus showed it to Victoria, she broke. Through tears, she told him how Damien had stolen her husband's invention, destroyed him, and now had his sights on Marcus. "He thinks you're the new threat," she whispered. Marcus crushed the feather in his fist. "He's not getting to either of us." Together, they set a trap. At a massive tech conference, Lane Corp announced a bold unveiling of Marcus's new navigation system. Cameras flashed, investors filled the hall, and Damien sat smug in the front row. Suddenly, the lights cut out sabotage. But then in the darkness, a fleet of modified drones Marcus had prepared lit up with red beams exposing Damien's man up in the rafters with wire cutters. The crowd gasped. And on the giant screen, Victoria unveiled proof Damien had stolen her husband's engine years ago. Police swarmed. Damien's empire crumbled in a single night. Months later, the 40th floor had a new plaque. The Lane Hale Innovation Center. Duds. Victoria, Marcus, and Lily stood by the window watching the city glow like a galaxy of fresh stars. Lily held up a sketch of the three of them and wrote beneath it, "The Fixers." Marcus wrapped his arms around her and whispered, "We're just getting started. Now here's where I want you to lean in." Marcus gave up a safe, small life the moment he refused to check and chose integrity instead. Victoria learned that sometimes the people we overlook are the very ones who can save us. And Damien, he proved that greed always comes with an expiration date. But what about you? If you were in Marcus's shoes, would you have taken the money, walked away, and never looked back? Or do you believe some things like dignity, love, and doing the right thing are worth more than any check could buy? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Because this story isn't just about Marcus. It's about what each of us would do when fire, pride, and justice all come crashing together.